The Partridge Family, a musical sitcom from the 70s featuring the late David Cassidy, became a fast hit. Inspired by the real-life singing family the Cowsills, the show quickly gained recognition. While it wasn't nominated for many awards, it did snag 2 TV Land Awards in 2003 for Most Stylish Dude and Teen Dream Hall of Fame. The show even received a Grammy nod back in 1971. Fans can still catch reruns on various networks. Nickelodeon's Nick at Night aired it from 1993 to 1994, followed by Fox Family, Hallmark Channel, and currently Antenna TV, a digital sub-channel owned by Sony Pictures Television. But what about the cast? Let's find out what the Partridge family is up to these days. Shirley Jones as Shirley Partridge. Shirley L. Partridge is a central character from the Partridge family. She is the mother of Keith, Lori, Danny, Chris, and Tracy. Her husband passed away suddenly a few months before she and her children began performing. Shirley's parents are Fred and Amanda Renfrew. Her initial audition was for an open bi-weekly casting call conducted by John Fernley, the casting director for Rodgers and Hammerstein and their various musicals. At that time, Jones had never heard of Rodgers and Hammerstein. Fernley was so impressed that he hurried across the street to fetch Richard Rodgers, who was rehearsing with an orchestra for an upcoming musical. Rodgers then called Oscar Hammerstein at home. In 1979, Jones attempted television for the second time, starring in the NBC show Shirley, which, like the Partridge Family, featured a family led by a widowed mother. However, the show failed to attract ratings and was canceled midway through the season. Jones also portrayed the older woman girlfriend of Drew Carey's character in several episodes of The Drew Carey Show and reprised Shirley Partridge in a cameo in a 2000 episode of that 70s show. In mid-2012, Jones played Mrs. Peru, while her son Patrick played Harold Hill in a California musical theater revival of The Music Man. In 2014, Jones guest-starred on an episode of General Hospital as Mrs. McLean. On August 5, 1956, Jones married actor and singer Jack Cassidy. They had 3 sons, Sean, Patrick, and Ryan. David Cassidy, Jack's son from his first marriage to actress Evelyn Ward, became her stepson. Jones divorced Cassidy in 1975. She married actor and comedian Marty Ingalls on November 13, 1977. Jones and Ingalls co-wrote an autobiography based on their relationship titled Shirley and Marty, an unlikely love story. Suzanne Crowe as Tracy Partridge. The youngest of the 5 Partridge siblings, Tracy, played by Suzanne Crowe, joined the family band alongside her older brothers and sisters, Keith, Lori, Danny, and Chris. While Tracy mostly played the tambourine and sang backup, she was a vital part of the musical group. After the show ended, Suzanne continued acting in TV movies and guest-starred on programs like Mulligan's Stew. Her last acting credit was in the 1980 TV movie Children of Divorce. Suzanne went on to earn a degree at Los Angeles Pierce College and even owned a bookstore until 1993. In 1985, she married William Condrey, and they had 2 daughters together. Interestingly, during a 2010 reunion interview on The Today Show, she revealed she was working as a manager at an Office Max store in Bullhead City, Arizona. Sadly, Suzanne passed away unexpectedly at her home in Laughlin, Nevada, on April 27, 2015, at the age of 52. While initial reports didn't specify the cause, authorities confirmed it was a medical issue and not considered suspicious. Later, the Clark County coroner revealed the cause of death as arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia, a rare heart condition. Her Partridge Family co-stars, including Shirley Jones and Danny Bonaduce, paid their respects after her passing. David Cassidy as Keith Partridge. Keith Partridge is a central character in the Partridge family. He is the eldest child of Shirley Partridge and the older brother to Lori, Danny, Chris, and Tracy Partridge. On January 2, 1969, Cassidy made his professional debut in the Broadway musical The Fig Leaves Are Falling. The show closed after 4 performances, but a casting director saw it and invited Cassidy to do a screen test. In 1969, he relocated to Los Angeles. After signing with Universal Studios in 1969, Cassidy appeared in episodes of the TV series Ironside, Marcus Welby, MD, Adam 12, Medical Center, and Bonanza. Cassidy later mentioned that by the 1980s, he was broke, despite his success and high earnings. In 1985, his music career continued to flourish with the Arista release of the single The Last Kiss, which reached number 6 in the United Kingdom, featuring backing vocals by George Michael, and included on the album Romance. These records went gold in Europe and Australia, and Cassidy supported them with a sold-out tour of the United Kingdom, resulting in the 1986 compilation Greatest Hits Live. Michael cited Cassidy as a significant career influence and interviewed him for David Litchfield's Ritz newspaper. In 2005, Cassidy portrayed the manager of Aaron Carter's character in the film Popstar. He co-starred with his half-brother Patrick in a short-lived 2009 ABC Family comedy series titled Ruby and the Rockets, created by his half-brother Sean. Cassidy was also a contestant on Celebrity Apprentice in 2011. As the days of Cassidy Mania waned, Cassidy regularly interacted with fans at his concerts through question-and-answer sessions. In August 2016, Cassidy performed in The Villages, Florida, frequently engaging with the audience by asking and answering questions and connecting with community members who had been fans for nearly 50 years. In 2011, Cassidy recorded a public service announcement for Alzheimer's disease research and prevention, inspired by his mother, Evelyn Ward, who had the condition, and expressed his commitment to advocating for the cause whenever possible. He planned to address Congress in 2012. Danny Bonaduce as Danny Partridge. Danny Partridge is a central character in the Partridge family. He is the third child of Shirley Partridge, coming after Keith and Laurie and before Chris and Tracy. Danny is very enterprising and, despite his young age, exhibits strong business acumen. Bonaduce made a brief appearance in the Bewitched Season 5 episode Going Ape, which aired on February 27, 1969, as a young boy in the park whose chimpanzee follows Samantha, Elizabeth Montgomery, and Tabitha, Erin Murphy, home. Bonaduce also had a notable role on The Ghost and Mrs. Muir in the first season episode Jonathan Tells It Like It Was, aired March 1, 1969. He played alongside Danny Shoemaker in a history essay contest with Mrs. Muir's lipstick Jonathan. Danny's father, Joseph Bonaduce, wrote the episode. In 2006, he had a recurring role in the crime drama CSI as a character named Izzy Delancey, a once famous but philandering rock star and a victim of the notorious miniature killer. He also hosted the short-lived tabloid-themed game show Starface on the Game Show Network. In 2007, Bonaduce served as both host and judge of the VH1 reality show I Know My Kid's a Star, featuring parents and children attempting to break into show business. He also appeared as a judge on the Australian version of the show, My Kid's a Star. Admitting his own checkered past, Bonaduce was a commentator for True TV's True TV Presence, World's Dumbest, from 2008 to 2013. Bonaduce has expressed his predominantly conservative political views during guest appearances. He is a staunch supporter of capital punishment and a strong military. Bonaduce has made several controversial remarks about left-wing or liberal celebrities, including stating that Jane Fonda should have been executed for treason due to her support of North Vietnam during the Vietnam War. In December 2023, Bonaduce announced his retirement from Seattle radio and his intention to relocate to Palm Springs, California. Brian Forster as Christopher "Chris" Partridge. Chris Partridge, the energetic drummer for the Partridge Family Band, is one of the main characters on the show. Shirley Partridge has 4 children, and Chris is the 4th, following Keith, Laurie, and Danny, but older than the youngest, Tracy. Originally, Jeremy Gelbwaks played Chris in the first season, but Brian Forster took over the role afterward. Forster, born in Los Angeles, comes from a family steeped in acting. His mother, Jennifer Rain, and stepfather, Whit Bissell, were both actors. Interestingly, his mother's lineage even traces back to the famous author Charles Dickens. On the show, Chris rocks the drums for the family band. In real life, as of 2002-2003, Brian Forster traded the drumsticks for a steering wheel and became a racing car driver in Northern California. He even continued acting in local theater productions there. Dave Madden as Reuben Kincaid. Reuben Kincaid is the business manager for the Partridge family. He was approached by Danny, who hoped Kincaid would sign the family after hearing their recorded demo. After 2 unsuccessful years on the Southern nightclub circuit, Madden traveled to Los Angeles. A successful opening night at a Beverly Hills nightclub led to a 10-week engagement and a recommendation from patron Frank Sinatra to Ed Sullivan, who signed Madden for 3 appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show. These appearances led to his first real acting role, a spot on Camp Run-a-Muck in 1965. In the late 1980s, Madden began voicing several characters on Focus on the Family's children's radio drama Adventures in Odyssey. In 1990, he received a regular character role as the curmudgeonly window washer Bernard Walton, a character he continued to play until 2008. In 1992, he reprised his role as Mr. Kincaid for a sketch on an episode of The Ben Stiller Show. 2 years later, he appeared with Bonaduce in an episode of Married with Children. In 1995, Madden appeared on the sitcom Boy Meets World in the episode Rave On. His last guest appearance was on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where he played Dr. Egelhofer along with other former Laugh-In cast members. Madden did voiceover work for numerous television and radio commercials, including the Cornick Sister ads for Denny's from 1990 to 1993. Madden also narrated the opening title sequence for the Fox sitcom Herman's Head during the show's first 2 seasons. Madden married Nana Arnold in 1975. They had 2 children, an adopted daughter, Selena, and a son, Peter Michael, before divorcing in 1985. Madden married his former college sweetheart, Sandy Dempsey, on May 28, 1998. Madden died on January 16, 2014, in Jacksonville, Florida, where he was receiving hospice care from complications of myelodysplastic syndrome. He was 82. Rick Siegel as Ricky Stevens. Ricky Stevens, played by the talented Rick Siegel, stole hearts on the Partridge family. Born in Long Island, New York, to Rick and Barbara Siegel, the family relocated to Nashville, Tennessee in 1973. Rick's performing bug bit him early. He was only 2 years old. His official acting debut came at the ripe age of 5, landing a gig in a Tonka toy commercial. Impressed by Rick's natural talent scout Paul Tannen mentioned him to producer Bob Claver, which ultimately landed him the role of Ricky Stevens. Rick appeared in 10 heartwarming episodes of The Partridge Family. During his time on the show, Rick even recorded his own album, Ricky Siegel and the Seagulls, released by Bell Records. His career continued to flourish beyond the show. In 1974, he shared the stage with Donny Osmond, Michael Jackson, and Rodney Allen Rippey as a co-host for the American Music Awards. He also lent his voice to various TV shows like Policewoman, Trollkins, Shirt Tales, and Richie Rich, and even landed a guest role on Little House on the Prairie. Beyond television, Rick graced the silver screen in movies like The Last Married Couple in America and Oh God, Book 2. He even ventured into production, serving as an executive producer for the 2015 film Selected. His most recent acting credit comes from the popular crime drama series NCIS. Jeremy Gelbwax as Christopher Chris Partridge. Gelbwax was the inaugural performer to portray Chris Partridge. However, his tenure with the series was fleeting, spanning solely the inaugural season. Subsequently, during the summer of 1971, Brian Forster assumed the role, supplanting Gelbwax. David Cassidy, a fellow cast member on The Partridge Family, provided insight into Gelbwax's departure, attributing it to a pervasive personality clash between Gelbwax and every individual within the cast and production team. This sentiment was echoed by Shirley Jones in an interview from 2005 with the Television Academy Foundation, where she divulged that Gelbwaks lacked enthusiasm for the show and that his departure was instigated by his parents' desires. The acting profession bid Gelbwaks farewell as his family relocated from California to Reston, Virginia, nestled in the vicinity of Washington, D.C. Their sojourn in Reston endured for a year and a half, followed by another transition to Connecticut and ultimately their establishment in Potsdam, New York. Gelbwaks' academic trajectory culminated in his graduation from Herman de Kalb Central School in 1978, an accomplishment adorned with his induction into the National Honor Society. His father, Norman, imparted his knowledge as a computer science educator at the State University of New York, located in Potsdam. In 1982, Gelbwaks secured a degree from college, subsequently embarking on a career path as a computer analyst, concurrently delving into the realm of chemistry through his studies at UC Berkeley. His professional journey within the computer sector spanned a decade, culminating in 1999. Thereafter, he broadened his horizons by delving into business studies at Columbia University, which equipped him to transition into the realm of management consulting. Marriage united him with Patricia Polander, and together, they established their lives in New Orleans, where Gelbwaks forged a path as a business and technology planner. Gary Dubin as Punky Lazar. Gary Dubin became a familiar face to many for his role as Punky Lazar, a friend to Danny Partridge on the beloved show The Partridge Family. But his voice also left an impression. He voiced Toulouse in Disney's The Aristocats in 1970, and he played ill-fated Eddie Marchand in Jaws 2, a teenager who met his end in the jaws of the shark. Back in 1968, Dubin took on the role of a runaway boy on Green Acres. The following year, he portrayed Dal, a deaf boy, in the series Land of the Giants, appearing in the episode Shell Game. In the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever, Dubin can be spotted in the carnival scene, losing to Jill St. John in a water balloon game. He complains about being cheated as she moves closer to winning the stuffed animal that secretly holds the diamonds. Dubin was also in high demand as a voice actor for Japanese animation during the 1990s and early 2000s. His versatility as an actor is evident in his diverse range of projects. One of his final acting endeavors was Rock Barnes, The Emperor in You. Sadly, Dubin passed away on October 8, 2016 from bone cancer, as revealed by a family member, Mitzi Hoag as Miss Farrow. Mitzi Hoag portrayed Miss Farrow in the series. In the mid-1950s, Hoag moved to New York, where she continued her acting studies with Herbert Berghoff. She was cast in several off-Broadway shows, but they were all canceled due to funding issues. Eventually, she starred in the title role of the 1958 off-Broadway hit, Heloise, an adaptation by James Forsyth of the story of Heloise and Abelard. The play, which received significant critical acclaim, was produced mainly by former actors and staff of Case Western's Eldred Theater. Following her mother's advice, Hoag moved to Hollywood. There, she married Stephen Wolfson, who had a small part in Heloise and later became a teacher. They had a daughter together but later divorced. In Hollywood, Hoag initially worked as a stage actress. She turned a successful stage performance as Annie Sullivan in The Miracle Worker into screen roles, starting with a part in the movie Tammy and the Doctor and continuing with numerous TV appearances. In the late 1960s, Hoag had a recurring role in Here Come the Brides. Additionally, she appeared twice in the TV show Bonanza, in 1966 as Libby Spencefield and in 1972 as Alice Brenner. In 1976, she appeared in the drama family as Clara Briot. During this period, she also appeared in several movies, including Play It As It Lays, Pieces of Dreams, and Devil's Angels. She also portrayed Natalie Green's adoptive mother on The Facts of Life, a role she played throughout all 9 seasons. Hoag's first and only starring role in a TV series came in 1975 when she played the mother, Liz Platt, in the CBS sitcom We'll Get By, starring opposite Paul Sorvino. A family sitcom, the show was created by Alan Alda and modeled after his own domestic life. The show ran for 12 episodes, filmed in front of a live studio audience. Originally scheduled for September 1974, the show did not air until March 1975, in a time slot competing against Chico and the Man, one of NBC's most popular programs. It was not renewed. Gordon Jump as Albertson. The late actor Gordon Jump portrayed the beloved character of Albertson in the series. Jump embarked on his acting journey at the age of 32, stepping into the spotlight through a theater production at the Glendale Center Theater in Glendale, California. It was there that an agent spotted Jump and offered representation. The theater, owned by Nathan and Ruth Hale, members of the LDS Church, also introduced Jump to the LDS faith. Jump's television debut came with a guest role as Marcus Clements in CBS's Daniel Boone, where he delivered 8 memorable lines. Throughout the 1960s, he honed his craft with minor roles in popular shows of the time, including Get Smart, Lancer, Here Come the Brides, and Green Acres. Jump continued to showcase his versatility with guest appearances in various series during the 1970s and beyond. In 1977, Jump landed his first recurring role as Chief of Police Tinkler in the sitcom Soap. A year later, he secured the role that would define his career, Arthur Big Guy Carlson in the beloved situation comedy WKRP in Cincinnati. Jump's portrayal of the endearingly bumbling radio station manager, based on a real-life WQXI executive, endeared him to audiences everywhere. When WKRP in Cincinnati came to an end in 1982, Jump showcased his range with appearances in numerous other shows. One of his most notable performances was in the 2-part episode of Different Strokes, titled The Bicycle Man, where he played Mr. Horton, a bicycle shop owner with sinister intentions toward series protagonist Arnold Jackson and his friend Dudley. While his portrayal of Mr. Horton was described as a daring career turn by the Los Angeles Times, it also sparked a discussion among critics. Genevieve Koski of the AV Club's Roundtable found the laugh track during a disturbing scene inappropriate, while fellow member Donna Bowman countered that it humanized the situation. Jump's extensive resume also includes appearances in The Love Boat, Night Court, The Golden Girls, Murder, She Wrote, and Who's the Boss, to name a few. He also had a recurring role as Maggie Seaver's father on Growing Pains. Jump's final movie appearance was in the 2004 film Changing of the Guard, released posthumously. The talented actor passed away on September 22, 2003, from pulmonary fibrosis, which led to respiratory failure at his home near Los Angeles. Rosemary DeCamp as Grandma Amanda Renfrew. Amanda Renfrew, the matriarch of the Partridge family, has a long and colorful history. She has been married to Fred Renfrew for nearly a century, having wed in the Roaring Twenties. During their courtship, Fred would serenade her with Bye Bye Blackbird, a tune that would become emblematic of their relationship. Throughout their union, whenever Fred indulged in his adventurous streak, it was Amanda who kept him grounded and prevented him from veering too far off course. The woman behind this enduring character, Rosemary Shirley DeCamp, entered the world in Prescott, Yavapai County, Arizona, on the 14th of November in 1910. Her parents, William Valentine DeCamp and Margaret Elizabeth Hinman, likely had no idea that their daughter would go on to capture the hearts of audiences across the nation. DeCamp's journey to stardom began in November 1937 when she assumed the role of Judy Price, the secretary, nurse of Dr. Christian, in the beloved radio series Dr. Christian. She further honed her craft in the syndicated soap opera The Career of Alice Blair, which aired from 1939 to 1940. In a brush with danger, DeCamp's Beverly Hills home was nearly destroyed on July 7, 1946. When an experimental XF-11 aircraft, piloted by the infamous Howard Hughes, crashed nearby. Miraculously, despite a wing crashing into her bedroom, she and her neighbor escaped unharmed. John Ashton Shidler, an Inglewood municipal judge, became DeCamp's real-life leading man in 1941. Their marriage spanned 57 years until his passing in 1998. Together, they raised 4 daughters: Margaret, Martha, Valerie, and Nita. DeCamp's longevity saw her outlive many of her peers, and she passed away peacefully in 2001 at the age of 90 from pneumonia. Joseph V. Perry as Mr. Jenkins. Joseph V. Perry, the actor behind Mr. Jenkins, started honing his craft early on. In fact, his talent was recognized at Santa Monica High School with a Glenn Ford Award in 1949. His winning streak continued at UCLA, where he received a Best Actor award from none other than Marlon Brando himself in 1952. Perry officially entered the film scene in 1955 at the age of 24. Over the next 4.5 decades, he built a prolific career, appearing in countless projects. From dramatic anthologies and westerns to medical dramas, police procedurals, and classic sitcoms, his resume showcased his versatility. While he didn't land major roles early on, his dedication paid off in the late 70s. Shows like The Incredible Hulk, MacGyver, Cheers, Murder, She Wrote, and even Seinfeld all featured his talents. But his biggest break came later in life. From 1996 to 1999, he brought the character of Nemo, a pizza restaurant owner, to life on Everybody Loves Raymond. Sadly, Perry passed away in 2000, but his portrayal of Nemo continued posthumously for a couple of episodes when the restaurant's storyline wrapped up. Actor Robert Ruth took over for Nemo's final appearances, Ray Bolger, as Grandpa Fred Renfrew. While Fred Renfrew might be a familiar name to some, the true star of the story is William Bill Bolger. Bill, the father of television star Shirley Partridge, dreamt of dazzling audiences but found himself a successful plumber instead. He and his wife Amanda tied the knot around 1926, and back in their courting days, Bill's charm included serenading her with Bye Bye Blackbird. Bill's love for entertainment stemmed from the lively vaudeville shows of his youth. He launched his career with a tap-dancing act called Sanford and Bolger alongside his partner. In 1926, his fancy footwork graced the legendary stage of New York City's Palace Theater, the pinnacle of vaudeville in the U.S. Years later, Bill would tap his way into a Dr. Pepper commercial, and in 1985, he even shared the screen with Liza Minnelli, daughter of his Wizard of Oz co-star Judy Garland. The film, That's Dancing, was written by Jack Haley Jr., son of the iconic Tin Woodman himself, Jack Haley. Bill's personal life saw a long and happy marriage of over 57 years to Gwendolyn Rickard. Together, they didn't have any children. A devout Catholic, Bill was involved with the Good Shepherd Parish and the Catholic Motion Picture Guild in Beverly Hills. He also held strong political views, being a lifelong Republican who actively campaigned for Barry Goldwater and Richard Nixon. Sadly, Bill was diagnosed with bladder cancer in 1986. As his health declined later that year, he moved from his Beverly Hills home to a nursing facility in Los Angeles. It was there that Bill passed away on January 15, 1987, at the age of 83. Alan Oppenheimer as Lorenzo Bernard. Lorenzo Bernard wasn't the only memorable character brought to life by the versatile actor Alan Oppenheimer. Throughout his career, he graced American television screens with a wide range of roles. From portraying a cunning Nazi on Hogan's Heroes to a double-crossing scientist for Chaos in Get Smart, Oppenheimer displayed his talent for transformation. He even stepped into the shoes of Dr. Rudy Wells in The $6 Million Man, taking over the role after the second pilot film. He held the position until The Bionic Woman's arrival in 1975, when Martin E. Brooks took the reins. Interestingly, Oppenheimer was also the original Mickey Mouse on Happy Days and played Helen Rosenthal's husband Ira on St. Elsewhere for the first 2 seasons. Oppenheimer wasn't afraid to explore different genres. He ventured into the world of science fiction with Westworld, the iconic 1973 cult classic, where he played the head IT technician. Trekkies might recognize him from appearances in 3 different Star Trek series. He donned Klingon garb as Koroth, the mastermind behind Kales's cloning in Star Trek: The Next Generation. He also played Starfleet Captain Declan Keogh in Deep Space Nine and an alien ambassador in Voyager. Beyond television, Oppenheimer even brought film director Cecil B. DeMille to life on stage in the 1994 Broadway production of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Sunset Boulevard. His personal life was just as varied. He married costume designer Mariana Elliott in 1958, had 3 children, divorced, then remarried her in 1992, remaining together until her passing in 2003. In between, he had a brief marriage to professional tennis player Marilyn Greenwood from 1984 to 1990, Susan Day as Laurie Partridge. While Laurie Partridge might be the name fans remember, the actress who brought her to life is Susan Day. On the show, Laurie was the middle child of Shirley Partridge, following Keith and preceding the younger trio of Danny, Chris, and Tracy. Musically inclined, Laurie tickled the ivories on the keyboard and piano, while also lending her voice to backup vocals. Known for her sharp mind, Laurie championed important social issues. Day's journey began in the world of modeling, where she landed her first big break, the cover of a sensitive booklet titled Getting to Know Yourself, aimed at educating young girls about menstruation. Her transition to film came in 1972 with a role in the airline hijack thriller Skyjacked, alongside Hollywood heavyweight Charlton Heston. They continued to explore diverse characters, tackling a troubled young mother in a 1977 television movie and a romantic lead opposite William Catt in First Love that same year. Day's personal life has also seen its chapters. She was married to Leonard Hershen from 1976 to 1981, with whom she shares a daughter. Since 1988, she has been married to television producer Bernard Sofransky. Beyond acting, Day champions social causes, serving on the board of the Rape Treatment Center at UCLA Medical Center and raising awareness about campus rape alongside her former L.A. Law co-star. It's also worth noting that Day battled anorexia during her time on The Partridge Family. We hope you enjoyed this nostalgic journey with The Partridge Family. If so, hit that thumbs up button and share your fondest Partridge Family memories in the comments. For more groovy trips down memory lane, don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for joining us.